Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture 2 of topic water. What we will learn today is determination of hardness by EDTA method. What we have already done is hardness calculation when we know the impurities present in the water sample. We have learned what is hardness and we have done hardness calculation. In some next lecture, we will see how to soften water sample and then BOD, COD, biological oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand, and we will learn about certain water purification techniques. So learning objective of today's lecture definitely is to determine hardness of water by EDTA method. Definitely we will learn about complexometric titration, which is EDTA method, and we will also be able to judge the quality of sample water. So it's a quick recap of what we have learned earlier. What is hardness? Hardness is a soap consumption by water sample. Like how much amount of soap it consumes. If it consumes more amount of soap, the water is called more hard, and if it's less, then we call it as soft water. And what is the cause of hardness? The cause of hardness are these cations. When we have different salts of these cations like calcium, magnesium, iron, aluminum, we call it as hard water, right? And we have also learned what is temporary hardness and what is permanent hardness. Temporary hardness is caused by carbonate and bicarbonate of calcium, magnesium, iron, aluminum, whereas permanent hardness is caused by sulfate, chloride, nitrate of calcium, magnesium, iron, aluminum, and some other heavy metals are also there. So this is all with hardness and temporary hardness and permanent hardness. We have also learned how to calculate hardness when we know the amount of salts present. So today what we will learn? We will learn how to determine hardness by EDTA method. So this one is EDTA, ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid, EDTA. So we generally use disodium salts of this EDTA for our purpose. So it's known as complexometric titration, where EDTA is a chelating ligand. It's a chelating agent. It forms a very stable complex with the metal cations. Like here we can see this metal is bonded with all the 6 points, like it's a 6 dented ligand, we call it. It's a very strong complex it forms. So when we will see it in ball stick model, it looks like this, where carbons had been shown in black color, hydrogens in white, oxygen red, nitrogen blue, and the center one is calcium ion, it's green. So you can see that how strongly it is bonded from all over, all the sides, right? So it gives a strong complex with calcium or magnesium, iron. Now we will learn what is the principle of EDTA titration. This is called a complexometric titration. In this titration, we use an indicator called Ereochrome black tea, EBT indicator. The color change, as the color change is sharp at pH 10, we maintain the pH of the solutions at 10. So what is the principle? Calcium ion, what is present in the water sample, will interact with this EBT at pH 10 and give an unstable complex. It is calcium EBT complex, which is of wine red color. Now when we add EDTA to this solution, EDTA replaces EBT, Ereochrome black tea complex, and EDTA makes this chelating complex, and that complex is more stable. So we will, at the end, we will have calcium EDTA complex and EBT goes free. the free EBT color is blue. So the color change is wine red to blue. So pH of the solution, please remember pH of the solution is maintained at around 10 pH because the color change is sharp at that pH. So here is the one we can see that always in burette we will take EDTA solution, and in conical flask we will take water sample. So first water sample will be taken in conical flask. It should be of fixed volume, and then we will add pH buffer tablets to maintain its pH 10, and then we will add EBT, Rochrome black tea indicator. So color, we will see that color is wine red color. Now from burette we will add EDTA, and when we are adding EDTA, the color EDTA replace EBT, and at the end we see blue color of free EBT. So color change will be wine red to blue. So we have to do 3 steps to find out hardness. We will find total hardness, and definitely we can also find permanent hardness and temporary hardness by EDTA method. So there are 3 steps for this total hardness calculation. So the first step is standardization of EDTA solution. So that in that step we use standard hard water versus EDTA. Most of the cases standard hard water is prepared as 1 milligram calcium carbonate in 1 ml water, distilled water. So the first step will be standard hard water versus EDTA. All the steps EDTA will be in burette. The second step, we will take water sample, the sample for which we have to calculate hardness. So that sample will be taken in conical flask. Again pH will be maintained at pH 10, and then EBT will be added, and then we will titrate it with EDTA solution. In the third step, we find out the permanent hardness, the amount of permanent hardness. So what we do this time, the sample hard water actually will be boiled to remove temporary hardness. We have seen that temporary hardness can be removed by boiling. So the total sample hard water will be boiled for some time so that all temporary hardness gets precipitated. And then we will cool it, filter it, and then we will make up the volume. So we'll make up the volume. So what is that? Like if we start with 500 ml of sample water, definitely after boiling some amount of water will vaporize out, so volume goes down, and after filtering we have to make 500 ml by adding distilled water, otherwise concentration changes, right? So the third step will be titration will be with this boiled sample water versus EDTA to find out the permanent hardness. So we will see the calculation. The first step is standardization of EDTA solution. So in that, standard hard water versus EDTA, and standard hard water is 1 milligram of calcium carbonate in 1 ml water. So what is our observation? That if we start with 500 ml of standard hard water, we can write that it needs V1 ml of EDTA solution. For the first step, we are taking the volume required. EDTA required, that volume is V1. We will observe that volume when we will do the titration. Now for calculation, we are taking that volume as V1. So first step, V1. So what we have written, 50 ml of standard hard water needs V1 ml of EDTA solution. Now what we have to calculate from this step is the amount of calcium carbonate which is equivalent to 1 ml of EDTA. So we will write V1 ml of EDTA is equivalent to 50 ml of standard hard water. That means V1 ml of EDTA is equivalent to 50 gram of calcium carbonate. because 1 milliliter standard hard water, we are having 1 milligram calcium carbonate. So 50 ml standard hard water, definitely it will be 50 milligram calcium carbonate, right? So from this step we can calculate 1 ml EDTA is equivalent to 50 by V1 milligram of calcium carbonate. So this we have to find out first. Then we will determine total hardness from the second step. This is sample hard water versus EDTA solution. So what we will take in conical flux? We will take 50 ml of sample hard water sample, and then whatever is our observation that we are taking now as V2 ml of EDTA. So now this time V2 ml of EDTA is consumed for 50 ml of sample hard water. Now 50 ml of sample hard water is equivalent to V2 into 50 by V1 milligram of calcium carbonate. Got my thing? V2 1 ml of EDTA is 50 by V1 milligram of calcium carbonate. So whatever we have obtained from the first step, that we have to put it here. So V2 ml of EDTA, that means V2 into 50 by V1 milligram calcium carbonate. So that we obtain. Now we have to find out what is for 1000 ml of hard water, because hardness we always explain as milligram of calcium carbonate per liter, milligram per liter. That's why we have to convert it into 1000 ml. Please remember this step. 50 ml hard water sample we have calculated, but we have to calculate it for 1000 ml or 1 liter. So 1000 ml of hard water sample will be V2 by V1. This 50 will come here, and then we have to multiply it with 1000. So it is V2 by V1 into 1000 milligram of calcium carbonate. The third step, we will calculate the permanent hardness. So how we will calculate permanent hardness? This time we will take boiled sample hard water. That means now temporary hardness has been removed. Whatever hardness is there in the sample water is from permanent hardness. Temporary hardness has been removed by boiling, right? So boiled sample hard water versus EDTA. And what is our observation? We will take that V3 ml of EDTA is required for this step. So what we can write? 50 ml of boiled sample hard water needs V3 ml of EDTA. So 50 ml of boiled sample hard water is equivalent to V3 into 50 divided by V1 milligram of calcium carbonate. Now 1000 ml of boiled sample hard water will be definitely equals to V3 by V1, like earlier step. It's V3 by V1 into 1000 milligram of calcium carbonate. We have to remember this. This becomes easy when our standard hard water is 1 milligram of calcium carbonate per ml. So temporary hardness can be calculated now by deducting permanent hardness from the total hardness. So all the different type of hardness can be calculated by EDTA method. So what is the key points for numericals? The first step, all the observations will be given in numerical, right? So first step is to find 1 ml standard hard water means the amount of calcium carbonate in milligram. That means 1 ml standard hard water contains how much calcium carbonate in milligram. Then we have to find out 1 ml EDTA is how much milligram of calcium carbonate is equivalent to how much milligram of calcium carbonate from the titration of standard hard water versus EDTA. Then we will find out 1000 ml sample water is equivalent to the amount of milligram of calcium carbonate. This will be from the titration of hard water versus EDTA. So these steps gives us total hardness. The third step, we will find out 1000 ml boiled sample water is equivalent to how much amount of calcium carbonate, that's milligram, that is our permanent hardness. So the first step, 1 ml EDTA is equivalent to the amount of calcium carbonate in milligram, that we have to find out in the first step. And the last, temporary hardness is equals to total hardness minus permanent hardness. So herein is an example for you to understand. Let us read it. It has been given that 0.28 grams of calcium carbonate were dissolved in HCl and the solution was made up to 1 liter with distilled water. 100 ml of this above solution required 28 ml of EDTA solution on titration. 100 ml of hard water sample consumed 33 ml of same EDTA solution with EBT indicator. 100 ml of this water after boiling, cooling and filtering required 10 ml of EDTA solution in titration. Calculate the permanent and temporary hardness of water sample in ppm. So we will go step by step. In the first step, what is of our importance is 0.28 gram of calcium carbonate were dissolved in HCl and the solution was made up to 1 liter. So what we see, that standard hard water in 1 liter we have 0.28 gram of calcium carbonate, right? Standard hard water in 1 liter we have 0.28 grams of calcium carbonate. And what else has been given? 100 ml of above solution required 28 ml of EDTA solution on titration. So 100 ml of above solution means 100 ml of standard hard water required 28 ml of EDTA. So whatever is given, you will write it first. So we have written like this: 1 liter standard hard water contain 0.28 gram of calcium carbonate. So 1 ml of standard hard water contains 0.28 milligram of calcium carbonate. So got the point? 1 liter contains 0.28 gram. So 1 milliliter contains 0.28 milligram. Now what has been given? 28 milliliter of EDTA requires 100 ml of standard hard water. So 28 milliliter of EDTA requires 100 into 0.28 milligram of calcium carbonate. That means 28 milligram of calcium carbonate. So 1 ml of EDTA required 1 milligram of calcium carbonate. Simple. It has come that 1 ml of EDTA required 1 milligram of calcium carbonate. So again I am telling, from the first step you have to calculate 1 ml EDTA required how much amount of calcium carbonate in milligram. So we'll go for the next step. What is important in this step is 100 ml of hard water sample consume 33 ml of same EDTA solution with idiochrome black tea indicator, right? So here this step is important. 100 ml of hard water sample consume 33 ml. So what we will write? From the earlier step, we know that 1 ml of EDTA required 1 milligram of calcium carbonate. So now we will write like this: 100 ml of sample water required 33 ml of EDTA solution. 100 ml of sample water required 33 milligram of calcium carbonate. So 1000 ml of sample water required 33 divided by 100 multiplied by 1000. That means definitely it is 330 milligram of calcium carbonate. So total hardness of sample water is 330 ppm. The next step, what is of our importance, is 100 ml of this water after boiling and cooling and filtering. It requires 100 ml of 10 ml of EDTA. So that means we will write 100 ml of sample water after boiling required 10 ml of EDTA. So that is equivalent to 10 milligram of calcium carbonate. So 1000 ml of sample water after boiling required 10 divided by 100 into 100, that means 100 milligram of calcium carbonate. So permanent hardness of the sample water is 100 ppm. So temporary hardness will be calculated by deducting permanent hardness from total hardness, that is 330 minus 100, that means 230 ppm. So this is the way we calculate all two different hardness. So now I think you will be able to determine hardness of water by EDTA method. You will be able to calculate when we know the result of this titration. Now you have an idea of complexometric titration by EDTA method, and definitely you will understand the quality of water for different purpose. Means when we know the hardness, we know the quality, as the scale has been discussed in the previous lecture. So here is an assignment for you. We have to write the principle involved in the estimation of hardness by EDTA titration method. Mostly we can have this type of question of 3 marks. Sometimes it may also come for 5 marks question. Then you have to elaborate the whole titration method and its calculation. And here are two numericals for you to solve. Calculate total hardness and permanent hardness for these two numericals given. Thank you. Thank you for listening.